I've got some intriguing trade rumors that are making waves. And today we're diving deep into one of the biggest stories swirling around the NFL offseason. The possibility of Jamal Dean, the cornerback from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, ending up with the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, I know trade rumors are a dime a dozen in the NFL, especially during the offseason when teams are constantly juggling their rosters and trying to set themselves up for success in the next campaign. But this one has some layers worth exploring, and by the time you finish hearing me out, I think you'll have a clear picture of why this could realistically happen, or why it might just be a long shot. First off, let's talk about why Jamal Dean is even on the trade block. All offseason long, his name has popped up linked to possible trades or even being cut. It's not like every day someone of his caliber hits the trade rumor mill. But Dean's situation is unique. Tampa Bay is going through some changes, and while they don't have a brand new regime that's completely overhauling everything, they are clearly shaping their future. When a team drafts new talent to replace a veteran, that veteran's days can become numbered. For Dean, that replacement seems to be on the horizon. The Buccaneers invested draft capital in some young secondary players like Benjamin Morrison and Jacob Parrish, both guys who could eventually fill the role Dean has been occupying. If you look at the financial side of things, the Buccaneers stand to save a pretty significant chunk of cap space. Almost $13 million if they decide to move Dean, whether by trade or release. That kind of cap relief is a major motivator in NFL roster decisions, but realistically, cutting Dean outright seems unlikely because Tampa Bay would lose out on any return. Trading him makes more sense if they want to get something back and free up space. According to reports, Dean carries a $15 million cap hit next year, which is a big number for a player who hasn't quite been able to stay on the field consistently. Now, what's interesting about Jamal Dean is his history with Tampa Bay. He's been with the Buccaneers since the 2019 draft, where he was selected and then developed under a regime that won a Super Bowl, playing alongside one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, Tom Brady. That championship experience, combined with a big money extension he signed, suggests the team initially had a lot of faith in him, but football is a business, and circumstances change when you bring in new rookies, especially promising corners like Parrish and a young quarterback like Morrison. It means you're looking ahead. Tampa Bay's front office and coaching staff are clearly focused on building a roster that can sustain success over the next several years. And sometimes that means letting go of good players who don't fit into that long-term plan. Another huge piece of this puzzle is the connection between Jamal Dean and John Spitek, the Raiders' current defensive coordinator. Spitek was a major part of Tampa Bay's coaching staff when Dean was drafted, and he was instrumental in developing the defense during the Buccaneers' Super Bowl run. That shared history can't be overlooked when thinking about why the Raiders might want to bring Dean in. Coaches often like to bring in players they're familiar with and who understand their system. Plus, Dean's experience playing with Tom Brady, winning a Super Bowl, and being part of that winning culture adds intangible value that's tough to measure, but important nonetheless. But it's not all roses. Dean has struggled with injuries throughout his career, which is probably the biggest red flag in 6 years in the league. He's never played a full 16-game season and has missed 18 games total. Durability is crucial in the NFL, especially for cornerbacks who have to be quick, agile, and ready to cover the league's top wideouts every week. When healthy, Dean has shown he can be a lockdown corner, long, lanky, and with good coverage skills, but the question always lingers: can he stay healthy enough to be reliable week in and week out? His recent performance also tells a story. Last season wasn't his best year, with a grading that fell on the lower end of his career numbers. Still, he had 7 passes defended and 1 interception, so he was contributing when on the field. The fact that he gave up a quarterback rating just above 90 in coverage indicates he was targeted often, but some of that can be chalked up to Tampa Bay's offensive struggles. Last year, teams were frequently playing from behind, forcing Tampa Bay's defense into tough spots. The financial terms of his contract are another key factor. Dean has 2 years left on his deal, but here's the kicker: 0 guaranteed money. That means Tampa Bay can walk away without much penalty if they want. And it also makes him a low-risk move for the Raiders, essentially. It's like a 1-year prove-it situation. If Dean performs well, great, the Raiders get a quality cornerback who's familiar with the defensive system. If not, they can move on without being stuck with a massive cap hit. Still, despite all this, my personal take is that while Dean could be the best cornerback option on the Raiders if he's Fully healthy, there are questions. You've got guys like Jacker and Bennett, who could take a significant step forward in his second or third season, and potentially surpass Dean in value. And then there's the fact that other corners on the market might be more reliable health-wise, and could fit better financially. That leads me to think the Raiders should be cautious. There's value in the trade and potential upside, but when you factor in injury risk and the depth of free agent options, it's not an automatic yes. Players like Stephon Gilmore, who brings experience and solid play, or even free safeties, and other corners who could fill that secondary need, might be better investments at this stage. Now, I did come up with some trade scenarios just to get the conversation rolling. One idea is that the Raiders could offer a mid to late round draft pick for Dean, maybe a 5th round pick. Something that doesn't cost a fortune but gives Tampa Bay something in return. Another idea is packaging a 6th round pick along with a player like Tommy Eichenberg, targeting Tampa Bay's biggest roster needs, such as interior linebacker. The Buccaneers roster is actually pretty solid overall, but linebacker is an area where they could look to add depth. But here's the twist: despite seeing the potential, I'm not convinced enough to want to pull the trigger on this trade. Right now, it's not that Dean isn't a good player. In fact, I believe if he's healthy, he could be the best corner on the Raiders roster this season. It's just that I think there are better, safer options out there, players who can offer comparable or better performance without the same injury risk or financial uncertainty. I'd rather the Raiders invest in a proven player like Justin Simmons or Julian Blackmon than gamble heavily on Dean's health and consistency. So, while the trade could happen and I wouldn't be upset if it did, my stance is that for now, it's a pass unless the price is right and the Raiders feel confident in Dean's ability to stay on the field. The connection to Spitek and Brady's legacy is compelling, but ultimately football is about performance and durability, and that's where Dean's profile raises concerns. This offseason is shaping up to be fascinating for the Raiders secondary. Whether they target Dean or look elsewhere, it's clear they're searching for the right pieces to shore up their defense. So let me know what you think. Should the Raiders pull the trigger on Jamal Dean? If you're all-in, type trade. And if you're skeptical or prefer to look elsewhere, type pass. I'll share my full thoughts and some additional trade ideas shortly, so stay tuned. Picking up where we left off, it's important to consider the bigger picture around this potential trade. The Raiders have been looking to strengthen their secondary for a while now, and adding a player like Jamal Dean could definitely shake things up. But you have to weigh whether the trade is the right move at this moment. The NFL offseason is a tricky time. Teams are constantly balancing cap space, draft capital, and player potential, and the Raiders are no different. They have some talented corners already on the roster, like Stephon Gilmore, who brings veteran leadership and solid coverage ability. Gilmore's injury history has been better than Dean's recently, and that stability could be a deciding factor. Another piece to think about is Russell Douglas, a young corner who showed flashes in his rookie season. While he might not have the upside of Dean at his best, Douglas offers durability and room to grow, which can be invaluable for a team looking to build sustainable depth in the secondary. The Raiders have to decide whether to invest in proven but risky talent like Dean, or focus on developing their younger players who might eventually take the lead role. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy, drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The Las Vegas Raiders have reportedly made a sensational move that could end all speculation surrounding their offseason plans. Rumors are swirling that the Raiders have secured a major signing, a move that insiders say might be the answer to the team's long-standing questions about their roster and ambitions for the upcoming season. For months, the Raiders fan base and analysts alike have been buzzing with questions. Who would be their key acquisition? Would they bolster their offense, reinforce their defense, or perhaps both? The silence from the organization only fueled the speculation, but now, word on the street is that the Raiders have finally put all doubts to rest with a blockbuster deal that could change the trajectory of the franchise. Though official details have yet to be confirmed, sources close to the team suggest that this signing involves a high-profile player whose presence will immediately elevate the Raiders' competitiveness. This could be the missing piece the franchise has been searching for to challenge the powerhouses in their division and make a deeper run in the playoffs. The timing of this acquisition couldn't be more critical, coming off a season filled with ups and downs. The Raiders' management is clearly signaling their intent to compete at the highest level, This move hints at a renewed commitment to winning, which should excite the team's loyal supporters who have been eagerly awaiting a sign that the franchise is heading in the right direction. Speculation points to a player with a proven track record, someone who brings leadership and experience to a team hungry for success. This kind of signing often sparks a ripple effect across the league, prompting other teams to reconsider their own strategies. The Raiders could be setting the stage for a dramatic shift in the competitive landscape, positioning themselves as dark horses for the season ahead, while the official announcement is still pending. The buzz around this potential deal has already reignited conversations about the Raiders' future. Fans are starting to envision a squad that not only has talent, but also the grit and determination to back it up. It's the kind of energy that can transform a team's culture and inspire a winning mentality throughout the organization. As the NFL offseason progresses, all eyes will be on Las Vegas to see how this rumored signing impacts the Raiders' dynamics on and off the field. Could this be the turning point the franchise desperately needed? If the whispers are true, the Raiders are ready to shed doubts and step confidently into a new chapter filled with promise and ambition. Stay tuned, because if this rumor becomes reality, the Las Vegas Raiders just might have made the move that defines their season and perhaps even their legacy. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.